That's why Winston wanted to get that in real quick.
This is the joke of the day.
Hey, joke of the day also.
The joke's on me.
Veteran sniper.
Veteran sniper.
Winston, you have the joke of the day, right?
Yeah. Mr. Toastmaster and fellow Toastmaster. So, that goes on 10. One could not have cut the atmosphere in the room with a butcher knife. 60 talented medical professionals were gathered in the operating room at the Medical College of South Africa in Johannesburg, South Africa. The date was December 30th, 1997. Now, in this group were neurosurgeons, plastic surgeons, anesthetists, and operating room nurses. There are all sorts of emotions flooding through these people. Apprehension, fear, and even hope, because they were going to be part of one of the most difficult operations that Dr. Ben Carson had ever done. Now, Dr. Carson was a well-known pediatric neurosurgeon that was located at Johns Hopkins. He had done some separation of Siamese twins before, but this time he was going to separate a craniopagus Siamese twins, Luca and Joseph Banda. Now, I'm going to pass around some pictures to show you what these people were up against. You'll just pass those around. Take one, so you can look at it as we go through this thing. So you can see that Dr. Carson and his group had a very difficult challenge ahead of them for this operation to be successful. Months before, Johns Hopkins had partnered with the National College of Singapore to develop a 3D visual imaging machine. Now, they hoped that this creation would help the surgeons refine their skills by conducting a virtual reality surgery on their computerized workstations. Dr. Carson immediately saw the benefits of this and required Johns Hopkins to make it happen for him. So they did, and it enabled Dr. Carson to put on these 3D goggles that would enable him with his little toggle switches to look at inside the brains of these two Siamese twins lying in a hospital on another continent. Just amazing technology. Well, the benefit of all this was more knowledge, and it enabled Dr. Carson to look in their brains and try to come up with some surprises that he would encounter in this operation, and it worked like a charm. What he learned with this 3-day operation, he used in the operation on the twins, and it helped tremendously. Now, the biggest challenge during the surgical separation of craniopagus Siamese twins is the sorting out of overlapping, interconnected, and shared blood vessels. Now, if you make even the smallest mistake, the blood loss would flood the surgical field and make it impossible to complete the operation. So this is one of the parts of high stress, and that is these separating these veins. The operation was scheduled for 6:30 on December the 30th, 1997. The Zambian neurosurgeon was named Dr. Lambert, and he was the physician of the twins themselves. He was given the opportunity to drill the first burr hole in the midsection of the skull's junction. Now, when you look at this picture here, you can see what we're talking about. He had to drill a hole right there in the middle of that junction. This was done, and the operation began. At the 19-hour mark, they encountered a vascular area so complex that the veins looked like a tangled mass of spaghetti. They decided that they would take a food break. And during the food break, they discussed the possibility of stopping the operation, everybody take a little rest, and then starting the operation up again in a few hours. It was discussed at length and decided that it was too dangerous to do this. They would have to continue the operation. Carry on was the decision. Now, at this point, everybody was exhausted. Dr. Carson was going to have to separate this tangled mass of his veins. And as he moved towards the operating room, he asked God if he would simply take over the operation. He couldn't do it by himself. As he began the operation, he had a strange calm came over him, and a remarkable steadiness in his hands. Over 100 veins were separated. When the last one was separated, the stereo system began to play the Hallelujah chorus from Handel's Messiah. So it looked like God had answered Dr. Carson's prayers. "25 hours of surgery had gone on up to this point. 3 more were necessary to complete this operation. But the results were outstanding. Not only did the twins survive the 28-hour operation, but they woke up to be able to live a full and normal life. Now, as a matter of fact, they are living right now in Lusaka, Zambia, and they are approaching their 17th birthday.
Wow.
So everything came out very well in this operation. Dr. Ben Carson is an outstanding individual. Many of you may have seen him. He does a lot of speeches around the area and in the country. He's a magnificent person. Wonderful neurosurgeon and a very good person. Now, his second book was entitled The Big Picture. And in it, the operation is described in some detail. But he also talks about how he thinks we could solve some of the momentous problems that face our country right now. So, I heartily recommend this book to you, The Big Picture by Dr. Ben Carson. And I hope that you will acquire the book and read it, because I am confident if you do, you will not be disappointed and you will be very interested